we just
How's it? How are you doing?
Hi, hello, can you hear me?
Oh,
James?
hello.
Yes,
Yes,
hello.
hello, James.
I'm trying to
Hello.
Great.
make this a bit bigger, but I can't work out how to do it. I'm going to get my husband back. Can make films, but I can't do Zooms.
People
It's
say
not
it's the
easy.
same thing. It really isn't.
It's not.
I'm rubbish at Zoom.
Thank you. Thank you. Ta-da! I just wanted to see you. I couldn't see anyone.
Can you see us now?
Yes, perfect.
Because I wore this lovely salmon shirt, especially.
Yeah, I love it. It's amazing. Thank you.
Well, it's nice to meet you both. I'm Robin. I'm kind of the founder of the festival, and Filmotomy is like my website as well. Hannah, who you've spoken to, um, is like my right hand woman, I suppose, with the festival and the website. And we would basically we got together and we watched all. I think there was 41 submissions, and we had to put them into groups. So it's our fault that you're in the competition selection, but like congratulations for making it to that. Anyway, based on not just quality, but like when it was released, the type of film it is. We try and create these selections. Every film gets treated the same. But yeah, so congratulations and thank you for submitting the film as
Oh,
well.
pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
I'm going to embarrass Hannah and say this is one of her favourites, and she really hopes James wins the
Oh.
acting prize. We can't say
Yeah,
anything yet, but we'll see. She really
That'd be
is
put it
nice.
forward for the jury, so we'll see.
yeah. I mean, they've not told me anything yet. I'm not doing the jury this year. They're doing it, and so I don't know. But it's killing me. I want to just burst into the room and say, "What are you talking about?" But yeah, well played, Vanessa. Well played, James as well. It was lovely little film. Yeah, we both, me and Hannah both really enjoyed it.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you very much.
yeah.
It's very kind.
So Hannah's got some general questions. I've got a couple as well, and if we think of anything else along the way, and then at the end, if you've got any questions for us, and I can also reveal your screening times as well when we'll be showing the film
Amazing.
online. I can
Thank
reveal
you.
that at the end for you, so that's no problem. So yeah, Hannah, I don't know if you've got a question to start us off.
Yeah, my first question was, if someone hadn't seen this film yet, how would you describe the meaning of wormholes? This could be for both of you.
That's nice.
James.
Yeah, that is it. That's a tough first one, isn't it?
Immediately, you're going to pass that one over.
Yeah, it's well, if I was to describe it, I would say that it's an exploration of um I want to say like it's an exploration of space in terms of space, like quite literally like space and stars and science and all the stuff that is definitely too big for my brain, but for most people's brains. So there's that kind of massive, like on like a quantum scale, it's like so overwhelming. But actually, at its core, it's just about love, and it's about two people um, connecting their love through an unusual space. And I'm saying that in a deliberately ambiguously because I think
Yeah.
it helps with the kind of story of it. But I think not every story kind of needs to make sense in a very like literal immediate way. I think Wormholes is why I think it's so. It reminds me a lot about About Time, where you've kind of got this like really strange setup with space and time, but actually at its core, it's just about life and two people falling in love and whatever happens. And I think I'd say that's what Wormholes is. It's a love story that is tangled in space and time.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So excellent.
I agree completely. I mean, I didn't write it. There's a lovely writer, Jonathan Skinner, who wrote it. And as James says, it was that it's wrapped up in quantum mechanics, which no one really understands. But the thing that when he said, "Would you direct it?" I was immediately like, I didn't have to think about it because it's human connection, and it is a very beautiful love story of someone who doesn't want to fall in love but really needs to, and someone who's well, I had a whole backstory with Rosie about what was going on there, but she also is in love, and so without saying too much to spoil the film. But yes, it's definitely about love, and I love films about love.
Mm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that leads on to the next question of when Jonathan approached you for this project, what kind of conversations did you have pre-production?
Well, interestingly, so I actually, I also run a film festival, and so I'd come across this short because it won best short script at the festival, and so I already loved the story. But the first thing I said to him, which as a director and a writer, it's slightly brutal when you hear it, but the first thing I said is, it's beautiful. You need to cut 4 pages. And that was how we started it, because it started, I think, as a 14-page script. I can't remember exactly. And he was like, "Really?" I said, "Yes, go away and cut 4 pages." And by that, I really meant cut the extra dialogue that isn't needed
Mm.
and find the dialogue that really, really deserves to be, so that every word that's spoken has earned its place in the film. And that's really what filmmaking is to me, for the whole of the pre-production process and the production process, and then the edit with Chris, our editor, who's amazing. It's cutting everything out that doesn't merit a place in the story, and just letting the most beautiful parts of the dialogue, the acting, everything just come to the surface. And so that's really how I try to shape the films. Yeah, not so much when I'm working with actors, because I like to just see what happens a little bit, I think. But certainly with the other stuff, yeah, I'm quite.
Um, and was there anything that kind of went off script? Was there anything that you allowed the actors to not, you know?
I can't remember. James, did we go off script?
Did we go off script? I don't think we did. I think
You have to say
no. Yeah, no,
that.
I really remembering. I mean, it was quite a while ago, but I genuinely don't. I don't have any memory of this. Yeah, I really don't. Surprisingly, because
No,
usually I am the first to say, "Can we change this?" But we didn't.
no. And I think that was just because I think the way the dialogue was written and the way that Rosie and James are in terms of embodying the characters, I think generally there's two reasons why it might go off script. I think is one, because the dialogue doesn't fit the characters and it doesn't feel right when the actors start saying the words. And the other is, just if there's kind of like room for improvisation and messing about and play. But there wasn't really space for that in this story. It kind of, they did all of that playfulness naturally, like between in the spaces between the words and within the words. So it actually didn't feel like it needed to sort
Mm,
of go anywhere additionally, I don't think, James, because it was very playful. The chemistry between you and Rosie was beautiful. And so
mm,
it just felt very playful and natural all the way through,
mm.
I think, from my
Yeah,
point
I agree.
of view.
Mhm. And James, would you say that Daniel is like you in real life? Like, are you introverted? Are you, because he's a perfectionist, right? Because when he's on the
Yeah.
desk, he has to have the pen in a certain position before he can study. Would you
Mm.
say you relate to his character?
Thank you for noticing that. That was yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm definitely an introvert. I always have been. I've always been cripplingly shy.
Mhm.
Definitely when I was younger, when I was like a teenager, I was probably very Daniel, actually. Come to think of it, I think what made me less like Daniel is drama school. So I think if Daniel went to drama school, he would probably turn out something like me now. But instead, he buried his head into a different universe, quite literally into the study of quantum mechanics, which is just I've said it earlier, but just unfathomably complicated. I tried to do like prep, it like for the character by reading up on quantum mechanics. Just don't bother. Just don't. It's a complete waste of
No.
time. But I'm definitely a perfectionist. I think the thing that I really wanted to get with Daniel, and this is conversations with like Vanessa at the start, was what kind of man is he? And reading the script and the way how reactive he is, I immediately put him. I immediately kind of summarized him as being neurodivergent. I think he has to operate within that space. And I think so many brilliant minds are, because it's that ability to just hyperfixate and hyper analyze. He had to. So I really tried to embody that as much as I could. So I gave him certain ticks, such as the adjustment of the pen. The other thing was like the hard blink, and it's funny because I thought that was quite big when I was doing it, but then actually when you watch it back, it's not as big as I thought it was. And that was like a manual like reset, like focus, and I just put him in this constant state of like extreme tension, and I myself, in terms of what am I similar to Daniel, I also feel like I'm under a lot of just natural tension. I think that some people are, but I am constantly reminding myself to release that tension. Whereas I think if Daniel was in the room right now, he just wouldn't have those tools to know how to release that constant. Which is why in the story, he meets effectively his tonic, and that comes in the form of Rosie's characterization. But am I similar to him? Yes, hopefully not too much.
I
And
think
a similar question
sorry,
is
go on,
to
yeah.
do with to do with university. Did both of you go to university?
James?
Yeah, well, I went to university for 8 months. I went to the University of Chester to study quantum mechanics, no, to study acting. Funnily enough, and then I then left to go to drama school instead. I then went from Chester to London, so I know university. I know what it was like to be in halls and
Mhm.
Freshers Week. But then I quickly then turned into the school of movement classes and voice classes.
Yeah, because I was going to ask, did you bring any of your like university experience to this role? Because it felt very real when Daniel walks um into that hall and he's just feeling like everyone's watching him and he
Yeah,
doesn't feel like he has any friends yet.
yeah. Well, yeah, kind of. I mean,
He's
truthfully,
just a very good actor. I'm
yeah.
going to say it. And I'm going to be honest here. You cannot teach someone to act. You can't. You can teach them to be better and be more confident. But James is naturally, he's never going to be bad. He's just an absolutely fantastic actor. Right, carry on, James.
Thank you, Vanessa. That's
No,
very
no
kind.
pressure there then.
Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, I thought yes. I kind of the way that I harnessed it actually was less about thinking about my time at university, because actually surprisingly I was very cool. No, it was because I just felt like what it felt like to be an outsider, and I think we've all kind of felt like that at some stage. And I think yeah, do you know what? It's a really interesting question, and probably something I should have thought of more. But no, I thought my focus, instead of what was it like being at university, it's instead like what was it like to just be an alien again,
Yeah.
like more. But I just thought he's an alien, and he could be an alien in he could be in his 40s or 50s in a workplace. He could be an alien, in a public park, like surrounded by strangers. Wherever he is, he feels like an alien. So I just focused on that primarily.
I
Yeah.
think sorry to interrupt, but I think because I'm an actor as well, I'm not as good as James, but I think one of the things that makes that actors, really good actors, bring often to their roles, whatever the role is, whatever the genre is we have a bit of brokenness in us, we have a bit of pain that we're holding on to, and certainly it's often something that drives us to the acting because it can be very cathartic and very therapeutic to sort of process it in a safe, controlled environment as someone else. But it's definitely, I think it was definitely also the case for Rosie, that there was just that pain going on as well in her life. And I think that's what makes both their performances so authentic because they do bring, there's such a huge amount of vulnerability around. Really powerful acting performances require an immense amount of vulnerability. And so as a director, you're trying to create that space where it feels safe to be vulnerable and you're allowing it, but you're not manipulating that in any way at all. You're just allowing it to find its feet within the character. And I think that's what James brings to his performance is that honesty and that truth, which is what you really want to see as a director and which is such a joy to work with.
James was saying you don't have to be at university and be someone younger. You can be in your 40s. So did you have a particular target audience in mind for this film? Like, was it students and graduates, or could it just be anyone?
Is anyone who's ever yearned for someone that makes them feel safe, makes them feel seen and heard. Anyone who's yeah, I think it's a universal story. So I mean, I'm a completely different age bracket to James and Rosie, but I mean it deeply affect, the story deeply affected me because it's a universal human experience. So I think it's anyone who's, like James says, anyone who's felt lonely in a room full of people, anyone who, I mean, I hide it usually quite well, but I I'm an introvert. I'm an extra. I think you call it an extroverted introvert. It's like a functioning alcoholic. I'm actually I'm cripplingly shy, but I'm not as crippled now because I've been faking it for a bit longer. But I find large rooms, they make me completely, they drain me to go
Mm.
whenever I lie down. So I think it's for anyone who's sort of felt any of those things at any point in their life. It's just a film for all people who it resonates with really. And I think it's love is so universal, isn't it? So yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. So, like, if you were framing this as a love story between Alice and Daniel, how would it, if this was like a feature film,
Oh, I can only dream.
Yeah, how amazing.
how yeah, I guess how would you shape the story?
Well, I mean, I suppose that should be a question to the writer, really. But
Mm,
I suppose from a director's point of view, you're just finding out more about them. You take longer to set up the meeting, and then you have the obstacles, and you just would have to develop. I mean, I don't know, James, how do you feel? How would Daniel play out in a feature?
Oh God, I mean, it's such a juicy question, isn't it? I could
Isn't
really,
it?
you'll have to stop because I will talk. I
Yeah.
could, I personally, I would love to see Daniel sort of almost like less of a student role and more of like a guest lecturer almost like, and by that I mean I
Mm.
think the age between the two characters actually is still as close as it is, but I think Daniel only has 5 years or so um
Yes.
on Alice, and I think it's I would love to see that
That's a
get that.
fantastic
Yeah,
idea.
personally, that's how I would frame it because I think actually, if you put it into a feature film, it gives the story way more scope because it
Yes.
it stretches them further apart, and by doing that, creates more space to get
Yes.
the space to get closer is further away. If that
It
makes
gives him
sense.
a
Yes, yes,
purpose as
yes.
well. It's not just some
Yeah.
aimless student. He's kind of partly knows where he's going, so he's
Yes.
got a bit of depth already. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
I think he's been invited by this university to speak to students. I think he's an
Mm.
incredibly bright, very, very talented young man. And I think he arrives at this university in this space and has been told very firmly, listen, you're here to do a job. We've heard your reputation. Just focus on the job at hand, teach, and just explore with students. Don't go off into your own little world. And I think his addiction, funny that Vanessa talked about, like you kind of like introverts being like alcoholics in a way, is that I think he is like really addicted to this idea of theory and like discovery and feeling like he's so close to something that isn't there. And I think he gets lost and then meets, whether it's a student or I think it can easily still be a young cleaner that just works. I think it completely works. And then you just stretch that out,
You
and the
stretch it out.
scenes you could have would
Yes,
just
the
be, yeah,
obstacles.
it would be brilliant.
Yes, it would be
If
absolutely beautiful.
if money
It
was
would.
no object, you'd make it into the most beautiful short film. If anyone's going to do that, it's Vanessa. If for your
Oh,
feature.
oh,
Do
thank
you think
you.
you'd see the character sort of go from an introvert to a bit more of an extrovert by developing confidence?
Personally,
Yeah. Well, sorry.
no,
I think you would see him go from an introvert in pain to an introvert in at peace, and I think
yes, yes.
because I think to go from an introvert to an extrovert is to become someone else. I think
You
he
lose him.
has,
Yeah.
yeah. I think his entire world. Again, this is I'm expanding on what already exists by imagining it as a feature film, but I think his he is entirely about his theory and books and ideas and his brain. He is in his head. He is just a brain, and I think the stretch of the feature film it would be him realizing that there's humor in things. There's like I would love to see a scene of Daniel entering a pub and confessing for the first time that he's never been to a pub before,
Mm.
and
It's
people being
me.
like,
That's me. I don't know how to order
yeah,
a drink. Yeah, literally,
exactly.
I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like a
Oh,
barman being
it's
like,
real
"What can I
easy.
get you?"
It's real easy.
Yeah, we'll show you sometime. But a barman saying like, "What do you want to drink, mate?" And him being like, "Oh, I genuinely don't know how. This is not my world." And then it's so many metaphors of like what you've got these different characters in space and in time, and then imagine him literally in a present space being in a different world because he's he could just go anywhere.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's
We
what I
have
would
to
do.
do it. We have to do it.
Be great fun, yeah.
And
Yeah.
Vanessa, for you, for filming in one location, did
Mm.
you find any obstacles in that?
Well, I think you get used to that when you're making very low budget shorts. Actually, when you get a script that is one location, you're like, okay, we can eat.
Mm.
'Cause so yes and no. Obviously, there's no movement from that room, so then you're trying to be creative about how to find areas that are going to vary the visuals for the audience so they don't get bored. Also, how to change Daniel's world because I wanted to give him the opportunity to create his own world before he starts working, bringing the light. You start with the students in the thing, and then they leave, and the lights go off, and he sets up his world in his way that he needs it to be. He turns the fairy lights on around the, but that's his.
Mm.
Okay, now I'm beginning to feel like I'm in my own environment, and so it was just finding ways within that one space, working with the production design and Carla, our DP, and the lighting and that to just create areas of interest. One of my favorite shots is actually the one at the end, where James, you walk towards the Hoover and you walk through. The lighting is such that it sort of goes dark light. And
Mm.
I remember the gaffer saying to me, "Oh, it's too dark. You can't see him." I'm like, no, but I like it when you can't see him and then you can
Yeah.
see him. So don't touch it, please. Thank you. Because it gives it that sort of, what's it called? Chiaroscuro. I don't know, what's that word? About like changes of light and shade. And for me, it's just having that challenge of I've got one location, how can I make it seem like an emotional journey reflected with the lighting? And but I love that. So it is
Yeah.
challenging, but I love challenges.
And for the green glow in the kitchen, is that
Yes.
like, is that, I always thought like the green glow was like a galaxy, and then when he turns on the fairy lights, it's like that's the stars beaming on
Yeah.
him.
Well, I
I thought
like
like it
that.
was space,
I,
because
I I think it's whatever you want it to be, really. In all honesty, we spent about 5 minutes, Carla and I, going, how green do we want? Like green's the alien green or like sort of, and it just landed on that green and then it shifted a bit in the grade. So but what we wanted it to feel a little bit like a portal, but not really, but like an area where things might happen because we were going to push Daniel and Rosie to that location, as it were, within that room where he has what's nearly a breakthrough. He nearly lets his guard down because she becomes physically closer to him and they're writing on the blackboard and there's the lights and she's quite flirty and he's trying to get his equation right and the chalk snaps and so I wanted it to feel like a love portal but they weren't really going anywhere because they were just good but yeah so it needed to feel a little bit magical.
do you feel like that Alice was like a love interest and a mentor? Because it felt like at the start she was more of a mentor, and then it kind of
Mm.
developed into a more of a romantic,
I'd say
uh,
so.
more from like a mentor to love interest.
Yeah,
yeah.
the way that Rosie plays Alice is just that. I think it starts off as a counter mentor by trivializing, I think, some of like what's the word about like the astrology line. Can't remember what she says, where she's talking about, oh God, string theory and all these different things, and
Yeah,
she just
yeah.
makes everything small. And usually a mentor would make things would expand ideas as opposed to shrink them. And I think she's an interesting like anti-mentor. And then I think actually that it kind of becomes a thing of like, what are we actually talking about here? We're just two people in a space that actually quite likes the look of one another, and there's something going on that it isn't like you can't touch it, but there's something here. And that's when you see in a very short film space of time, Daniel drop his guard and actually want to connect, and her giving him an invitation to do that. So yeah, it becomes romantic in that sense. But I think it's also completely plausible that someone could watch the short film and not actually feel anything romantic at all, but just see it as like an invitation to step out of one's self and explore further. That's even that in itself is romantic. So yeah, it's similar to like The Green and The Portal. And I think when you have a good short film that has really clear ideas and themes, anything is like the fairy lights can be stars, the green portal can be a portal, everything can be everything once it's got good themes involved. So yeah, it's all accurate, and it's yeah, true.
And I think you brought so much emotion to Daniel, and the fact that, I mean, did you do any character study? I mean, you said that you were going to try and study physics, and then it didn't go too well. Um, yeah, I mean, we see him on the verge of tears, and then he does actually cry, but he doesn't want to. It's like
Yeah.
he's then like opening up to Alice, but he's just trying to stop himself.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think as a I mean, again, like another great question, and it's a topic that you could go on forever with. It's because really what we're talking about is like pain in being a man, being a quiet man. And I think he's obviously in pain and wants to cry, but has probably never been given the space to just have a good old sob on someone's shoulder, which is probably what he needs. So whether did I do any? Yes, I did do character work, but I've never annotated a script, or I've never really done like I've never done much theory on a scene. I just made a few physical choices and just let the script do its thing, and let Vanessa, you know, she created such a playful space. I can't explain to you, even however long ago it was. Since then, I've never been in an environment which has been so relaxed. It was so almost alarmingly relaxed. It was so easy. It was the strangest thing. It was almost as if like it was a test run, and that the actual filming was always going to be the day after. And then once we wrapped, we were like, oh, it's just really. So I think it was that really. I think once you've got when you're given a space to play, you can play infinitely, and I think that's really what it was. And I think it would be very easy to you could look at that script and just you could overcomplicate it massively. And I think a bad director given that script would do that and would make it stiff and rigid and a bit like just it'd be difficult to connect to. Whereas Vanessa just went, listen, I don't understand quantum mechanics either. Let's talk about people and let's play with that. So it really, to answer your question, I didn't do a lot. I just let I let Vanessa do it for me.
What James has pointed out, I think it's really interesting. What he does do is he creates a physicality. He creates the character physically. He transforms his body movements. All of his emotions are expressed. Not actually, words are a luxury. So this is what makes a really good actor. Words are there when you need them, but actually you can see the story in their body movements. You can see, and what James is bringing, and you can hear when he's describing how he's thinking about the character. He's not going, oh, this guy's got social anxiety, so that's what I do. He's bringing, yes, but why? And it's the yes, but why that is what makes a great performance. And it's what makes it living it as opposed to just being performative and pretending it and sort of just doing the acting. Because really good acting isn't actually it is, but it's not. It's a really bad, you know what I mean, James? It's like it is and it isn't. It's an elevated, heightened version of truth,
Yeah.
right. You have to feel it. It comes from here, and then stuff happens which express a truthful experience of who that character is. Um, and that's why the performances are so strong, is because they're being felt. And in the moment, everything is real. The romance is real, the anxiety is real, the grief is real, the struggle is real, to coin a phrase. Everything is real in the moment. And that's what makes it so powerful.
Yeah. I think I was surprised when you both said that you were introverts because in the film industry it feels like you have to be, I don't know if you have to like force yourself to be an extrovert in certain situations. Like whether
Mm.
you're on set or even in interviews, it feels like you have to be like an introverted extrovert, like you were saying, Vanessa. Do you feel like you both have to do a certain thing like that in the film industry?
Again, it's a good it is a good question. Your each of your questions could easily be a
So
15,
good.
20 minute answer. So it's try I think um I mean, again, this is why it's a good question because both of our answers could easily be different chapters. But I think
Mm.
as I'm only an actor. I wish I could do other things like Vanessa does. But I think if I walked into like auditions as my introverted self, then I think it would just take more time to connect. So before I go into an audition, I usually take a little I take a little performance moment where I have to just breathe out and be engaging. And I think that is it's a deliberate thing. I mean, like as the four of us right now, we're switching on a part of our brain which is allowing us to because I could just answer this question and be like, yeah, I feel like it's probably helpful to be an extrovert, and then you'd go,
Yeah.
but instead, like I'm allowed. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, you have to
Mm.
perform as that, and I think it is helpful. It's helpful
Mm.
uh, to really dig into thoughts and feelings and give good answers. And I think when you go to an audition and a director says, "So, what did you think about the scene?" You can't just go, "It's good." You have to. So yeah, and that is what a good extrovert will do. But I think I like being an introvert, and I think you're right that it
Mm.
is a kind of like weird misconception that to be an actor or to be in the industry at all, you need to be this like High School Musical extroverted, dance on the tables, like sunshine and glory actor. No, I think actually a lot of my favorite actors are
Mm.
like major, even at the top of their game, are like major introverts. Like
Yeah.
Mm.
but Heath Ledger, rest his soul,
Mm.
he was
Yeah.
he was
Mm.
absolutely crippled with anxiety
Mm.
and being shy. So I don't think it holds you back. I think it helps to engage that part of your confident, extroverted brain, but I don't think it will ever hold an actor or director, if I can say, back.
Mhm. But do you feel like sometimes it masks your introvertedness? Do you feel like you
Yeah,
are you really being truthfully you if you have to be like a more confident version of yourself?
I
That's
mean,
another
but
really great
yeah,
question.
again, but like I mean, that's like a question on what like.
That's the quantum mechanics of
Yeah,
acting, isn't
yeah,
it?
it genuinely is. You've just asked a
Yeah,
quantum mechanics question on
yeah,
acting. That's so
yeah.
accurate. Yeah, are you
I,
ever
I see
truly
so
being
many
yourself?
actors. Sorry, I think me and Robin, we interviewed so many actors that are actually introverts and we don't realize they are until they openly say, "Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm an introvert." And you just don't think that they probably would be in an industry that kind of forces yourself to be a bit loud and a bit more confident than what you usually are. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just interested to know what people in the film industry think about being truthfully you, but also trying to be more of an extrovert version of yourself
Yeah, 'cause it
when
feels like an extrovert's world, doesn't it? An actor,
yeah.
your assumption is that, well, they can flaunt about and do this. Directors, they have to look after a lot of people, so they must like being around people. But
Mm.
I'm definitely an introvert, and when I do this for a living as well, like interviews. It's quite easy for me. But when I do the screenings, everyone's like, "Oh, he's so confident. He's like an extrovert." No, he's not. I'm sweating on the inside. I edit it, so you don't see the anxiety that I go through. But I love it, and I think the what I love about creativity is that doesn't bring out the extrovert in me, but it makes me comfortable as an introvert.
Mm.
That's
I
what I
mean,
feel.
thinking about, I mean, I love people. So this is a weird, like, and I hope that when I'm on set, people feel like I genuinely love my team.
Mm.
I adore my actors. There's nothing I love more than being in a room with actors, either as another actor or as a director, because they're my people and they're all different, but I understand them really well because I know what it's like. And so I really like people. I don't like, so the part of the industry I don't like is the fake part that sometimes maybe you can, the networking I don't really like.
Mhm.
I don't, I'm really uncomfortable with self-promotion, but it's really hard to avoid that because otherwise you sort of disappear. And it is a competitive industry. Of course it is, because, you know, there's a finite amount of jobs and an almost infinite amount of creatives. Um, I but I don't like competitiveness because I feel it's kind of almost the antithesis of creativity, in that creativity should be about collaboration and sort of the fusing together of the drive to tell stories, which is really what all creatives across departments want to do. We want to tell stories through our lighting, our makeup, our whatever our acting, our writing, direction, whatever. It's a really weird industry because it is a weird balance, a balancing act of, I can stand up in front of 1,000 people and be absolutely fine doing that, but picking up the phone to ask my agent something, I can't, I find it almost impossible to do. So I don't know how weird people like myself survive in the industry. You just find coping mechanisms, don't you? You just find a way to survive, to navigate it, I think,
Mm.
which and trying to be authentic and nice in the process.
Mhm.
It's really hard, actually. I find it's a really hard industry to be in.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think me and Robin are finding that even when we're interviewing, we're trying to be us, but we also have to be talkative and chatty. And
It's
what do you
tiring
think,
as well,
Robin?
isn't it? It is tiring.
And then,
Anyway.
I'm gonna pay loads of compliments now because like this interview we've ran over, so I'm so glad it's not one of those press junkets where they throw you out after 10 minutes because we wouldn't have been able to get what we've got. Like interviewing people like you and Hannah's questions obviously makes this what I call a job a lot easier. We've got
Oh,
so much out of this to, like James said, some people do go, yeah, yeah, it was not bad yet. Yep, yep, Vanessa's all right. Yep, yep. And we're done, and we're like, well, they didn't reflect the film that we just watched. And just on the release thing, I think the tears thing, James, was the closest you got to some release, and that was maybe your finest moment in that film. I think that's when me and Hannah were like, whoa, this acting is because it's almost like unprovoked. It's just him fighting his own resistance, to release a little bit because crying is a great release. Um, so that congratulations to you both.
thank you.
Thank you.
And I particularly love you mentioned the chemistry in the space, that the cleaner is a background character to start with, and in our lives they are as well. And then this guy is like front and center, and you bring them together in such a way you almost it's almost seamless. You don't realize. Then suddenly they sit next to each other, and that chemistry that you mentioned is almost like when they have the chemistry, you miss that beat. It's so seamless. So whatever you did in the editing room or as directors or conversations was excellent. I have one more question, Vanessa, if that's all right. Just about the festival, it's about short films, it's about female filmmakers. Like, why are short films important to you? How do you keep them alive? And also, do you think that landscape for female filmmakers has changed the last 10, 15 years for the better?
Why are short films important? Well, I didn't go to film school. I meant to be a primary school teacher. So that's what I'm meant to be doing.
Mm.
So making films has been my film school. I just started making films, and making a short film gives you a really structured way to learn about how story works, and to do it, in a much well, in short form. So they are really important in that sense. They're also really important because it allows creatives to get together and make something in a day or 2 days, because we start withering and dying. Our souls just just dry up and disappear into the wind if we're not telling stories. It's the weirdest thing in the world. I'm slightly agitated on set. I'm deeply unhappy if I'm not making it, if I'm not writing or with someone, or at least having a coffee with another creative at some point. It's my heartbeat is creativity, and so having that short form as a thing that you can do is an absolute godsend. It's really amazing. Um, so I'm not, maybe, I don't know what's a typical female filmmaker. I don't know even what that is, but I'm not a typical female filmmaker in that I don't think of myself as a female filmmaker. I think of myself as a filmmaker, and I'm female. So, but there are less of us. There are obviously less of us. And so I has ha, I mean, the obstacles that we're meant to come up against, I have never actually come up against men being obstructive, or I've come up against women being obstructive.
Mm.
Um, that's the sort of unspoken the unspoken reality is that sometimes women are the most difficult, obstructive people to work with. I
I should have been
haven't,
nodding. I apologize.
not all of them, but some of them really are. I haven't come across men who've been obstructive. Um, and I think there are more opportunities now. I'll tell you what I think really is an obstacle to women, and that's ageism. So if you look at things, it's young filmmakers this, grants for young this, opportunities for young that. What I would say to people is if you are looking for female filmmakers of the future, don't write us off when we hit 40, because actually we've lived a lot of life, and part of what I think I can bring to the screen is my own life experience. My people skills are, I'm 57, so I've dealt with a lot of people. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've learned a lot of things. I think so. I would say ageism exists as a real problem, and most female filmmakers will say that of a certain age will say, you try to get someone to let you direct a music video. I have directed a music video, but they don't go to women who are over 50. So it's I think preconceptions about when you're a certain age, you can't relate to stuff. And I hope that the things that I make and the people that I work with are kind of like dispelling that myth that we can't do, we're only able to tell stories about old people, or I don't know, retiring,
Yeah.
funeral plans. I don't know, whatever it is. So yeah, I think ageism is the big thing, and I hope that that will change. And we are seeing, more stories of more mature women. It's certainly, in Hollywood, we've got more stories of older women. But I think breadth of story is important as well. We don't just want older women having affairs with young men. That's like, ugh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great story, but it is like feels like sometimes the only story that people want to tell. I think there are other stories as well. So yeah, sorry, that was a
No,
long answer.
that's a great answer, and I think that's why we asked that question because I want to be challenged. Because obviously, I'm a man running a festival but I don't want to segregate it. But I think the issue is that you are segregated, and one day this festival won't be valid for that reason, which is a good thing because it
Yes,
doesn't matter what gender is. But yeah,
yes,
the age is a big thing as well. You're absolutely right.
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I think your festival is great because I think we do need solidarity because there are less of us.
Mm.
For all sorts of reasons, like people going off and having children or coming into it late, like I did. I didn't come into it. I started acting at 30. And so it's taken me 27 years to to get to work with James.
He's James has got green lights all over his house now, so he's fine. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll wrap up. I mean, we've taken so much of your time, but we really
No, it's
appreciate
been
it.
Yeah, it's
lovely. We
lovely. Yeah.
enjoy it.
Um, you're welcome to join any of the screenings, obviously. If you want to answer any audience questions for 10 minutes after each screening, if you're available, you're more
Thank
than
you.
welcome. You, cast, crew, whoever, the more the merrier. But when we send it over, do feel free to share with your friends and
Yes.
family or whatever, and other actors and directors over 40. It'll be lovely. Yeah.
No,
I
Yeah.
hope
thank you
it
very
wins
much.
awards as well. I
Yeah.
really do.
You never know.
Yeah.
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 And for
Yeah.
acting, James, of course.
Fingers
Yeah, we'll
crossed for
see. We'll keep our
James.
fingers crossed. Yeah, yeah. The ceremony we have at the end is for everyone, not just prize winners, but we'll certainly invite you, and it'll be around about 7 o'clock on the 23rd of August. That's a Sunday evening. To be confirmed, but it's usually around 7. So you're welcome to join, and one of the good things about this festival is we build such a community. It's the one thing we don't plan for, and it's probably the best thing we get out of the festival is that community.
Yes.
You can't plan for it. People turn up and they show up
Yeah.
and they see, and it's great. So yeah, thank you both. Thank you, Hannah, for those quantum physics level
Yes,
questions.
Yeah,
thank you
very,
so
very
much,
good questions.
Hannah. Yeah.
Thank you.
And,
Thank
and
you for
watch
asking
this
me.
space for a feature. Please watch this space.
Oh,
James and I are desperate to make it happen.
Yeah, there'll be the next Good Will Hunting or Beautiful Mind or something like that.
oh
It's,
yeah,
we'll,
there's
we'll
so
be going
much
to
to
the
tell.
Oscars, won't we? And hopefully you'll invite us along.
Yeah.
Well played, everyone. Anyway, thank you very much. Really,
Yeah,
really
thank
good
you so
film.
much.
No, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your evenings.